Our love was a tapestry of starlight and whispered promises, a sanctuary built on trust and shared laughter. I remember the early days with a bittersweet clarity. Mark was my sun, my moon, my entire universe. His smile could chase away any shadow, his touch a silent symphony of comfort and belonging. We talked for hours about everything and nothing, our dreams intertwined like vines in a secret garden. We planned a future together, a cozy home, children, dogs, a life painted with the brushstrokes of ordinary joy and profound connection. I never once questioned his devotion, his integrity, his love for me. It felt too real, too solid, too beautiful to ever shatter. I believed in us with an unwavering faith, a certainty that anchored my very existence. He was my partner, my best friend, my confidant, the person who knew me better than anyone else in the world, and still chose to stay. It was a love that felt like coming home after a long journey, a deep sigh of contentment, a quiet peace that settled in my soul. The cracks began to appear, subtly at first like hairline fractures in a masterpiece, imperceptible to the casual observer. He started working, longer hours. His phone became an extension of his hand, a private world I was no longer invited into. He grew distant, his eyes sometimes clouded with an unreadable emotion. When he thought I wasn't looking, I told myself it was stress work, pressure, the demands of a busy life. I tried to be understanding, supportive, a pillar of strength. He would come home late, his explanations vague, his energy depleted. I felt a growing unease, a cold tendril of doubt coiling in my stomach. I dismissed it as paranoia, my own insecurities rearing their ugly heads. I fought against the creeping suspicion, trying to smother it with logic and a desperate hope. He said he loved me. He still held my hand. He still kissed my forehead before leaving for work. But something was fundamentally different. A subtle shift in the air. A discord in our once harmonious melody. I started noticing small things, a faint, unfamiliar scent on his shirt, a sudden guardedness when I asked about his day, a new passcode on his phone, a hesitation in his voice when he spoke of future plans. My heart began to ache with a dull, persistent throb, a premonition of something terrible on the horizon. I found myself scrutinizing his every move, his every word, searching for answers in the spaces between the lines. My sleep became fractured, haunted by restless dreams and waking anxieties. I tried to talk to him to express my fears, but he would dismiss them with a gentle smile and a reassuring squeeze of my hand, telling me I was imagining things, that he loved me more than anything in the world. And I wanted to believe him. I desperately wanted to believe him. The internal battle was exhausting, tearing me apart from the inside. A constant tug of war between my deep love for him and the growing alarm bells ringing in my mind. I felt myself slipping into a state of perpetual hypervigilance, waiting for some sign, some undeniable proof that would either confirm my fears or put them to rest forever. It was a lonely existence, trapped in a cage of my own making, slowly suffocating under the weight of unspoken doubts and unaddressed suspicions. The day it all came crashing down was ironically ordinary. A Tuesday afternoon, a forgotten receipt in his jacket pocket as I was doing laundry. The crumpled paper unfolded to reveal a name, a hotel, an unfamiliar date. My hands trembled as if they no longer belonged to me. A cold dread washed over me, suffocating me in its icy grip. I typed the name into my search engine, my fingers shaking so violently I could barely hit the keys. The results loaded slowly each second an eternity. And there she was, a photograph. A woman smiling next to him in a setting that screamed intimacy, not business. A casual familiarity in their posture. A shared glance that spoke volumes. A connection that tore a hole through my chest. The world spun everything I knew, everything I believed in, dissolved into a chaotic swirl of pain and disbelief. I felt a scream rising in my throat, but no sound escaped my lips. The air was thin, difficult to breathe. My vision blurred with unshed tears. My heart fractured into a million jagged pieces. I confronted him when he came home later that evening. The words were a strangled cry, a torrent of agony and betrayal. I held out the receipt, the image on my phone a silent accusation. He stood there, silent, defeated, his eyes refusing to meet mine. His confession was a whisper, a broken mumble of excuses and apologies that fell on deaf ears. Months he had been seeing her, months of lies, months of a double life, lived behind my back, while I loved him, while I trusted him, while I built dreams with him. Every shared laugh, every tender touch, every whispered secret became tainted by this revelation, a cruel mockery of what I thought was real. The foundation of my world crumbled beneath my feet, leaving me suspended in a terrifying void of emptiness and despair. I felt cheapened, used, disposable, a fool for having loved him so completely, so unconditionally. The pain was physical, a sharp, tearing sensation, a profound ache that permeated every cell of my being. I wanted to unsee it, to unhear it, to rewind time to a moment before this shattering truth. But there was no going back. Only the desolate landscape of a broken heart remained. The immediate aftermath was a blur of tears and raw agony. The silence in our apartment, once filled with the warmth of our life together, now echoed with the deafening sound of my heartbreak. I moved through days like a ghost, a phantom in my own life, unable to eat, unable to sleep, unable to comprehend the enormity of what had happened. I cried until there were no more tears left, until my eyes were swollen and red, and my body ached with a profound exhaustion. The anger came later, a scorching inferno that threatened to consume me. How could he have done this to us, to me? How could I have been so blind, so naive, so utterly foolish, questioned everything, our entire history, every shared memory, every loving word became suspect, tainted by the shadow of his betrayal. I felt a deep sense of humiliation, a profound loss of dignity. I packed his things silently, methodically. Each item a painful memory, a physical testament to a broken promise. The act of folding his shirts, of putting his books into boxes, was a ritual of grief, a slow, painful goodbye to a future that would never be. The goodbye itself was not a goodbye. It was an amputation, a tearing away of a part of myself. I felt the phantom limb of our relationship, a constant ache, a hollow emptiness. Where his presence once resided, I felt utterly lost, unmoored, cast adrift in a vast ocean of sorrow and confusion. The trust I had so freely given had been shattered irrevocably, leaving behind a wasteland of doubt and fear. I struggled with the concept of moving on, of rebuilding a life that had been so intimately intertwined with his. I felt a profound sense of injustice, of being unfairly punished for loving someone completely. I wrestled with the temptation to blame myself, to search for my own failings. But deep down, I knew that his choice was his alone, his betrayal, a reflection of his own character, not mine. Still, the echoes of his actions reverberated through every aspect of my existence, making it difficult to breathe, difficult to hope, difficult to simply be. The path to healing was a long, arduous climb, a jagged ascent through mountains of grief and self-doubt. It started with small, almost imperceptible steps, just getting out of bed, facing the day, finding the will to eat a simple meal. I leaned heavily on my friends, their unwavering support, their quiet presence a lifeline in my despair. They listened without judgment. They offered comfort without platitudes. They reminded me of who I was before the heartbreak. I started rediscovering parts of myself I had let wither. In the shadow of our relationship, passions, hobbies, interests I had set aside. I spent a lot of time alone, learning to be comfortable in my own company, rebuilding my self-worth brick by painstaking brick. I journaled, filling pages with my raw emotions, my anger, my sadness, my confusion, my slow journey towards understanding. I allowed myself to cry, to rage, to feel every painful emotion, without shame. I started to forgive myself, not for his actions, but for my own perceived naivete, for trusting too much, for loving too deeply. I began to trust my intuition again, to listen to that quiet, insistent voice inside me that had tried to warn me all along. Slowly, painstakingly, the colors began to return to my world. Laughter found its way back into my life tentatively. At first, then with growing confidence, I realized that my worth was not tied to his fidelity. My happiness, not dependent on his presence. I was whole, complete on my own. I learned to love myself fiercely, uncompromisingly, to value my own peace, my own boundaries, my own well-being. I learned that betrayal does not diminish your capacity for love. It refines it. It makes you stronger, wiser, more discerning. It teaches you about resilience, about the incredible strength that lies within you. It was a painful education, but one that ultimately set me free. Now I stand here not unbroken, but remade a different person, transformed by the crucible of pain and loss. I carry the scars, but they are no longer gaping wounds, bleeding heartache. They are reminders of resilience, of strength, of a journey through profound darkness into the soft glow of my own light. I learned invaluable lessons about the fragility of trust, the complexity of human hearts, and most importantly, about my own indomitable spirit. I am open to love again, but with clear eyes, a discerning heart, a stronger sense of self-worth. I know now that true love is built on honesty, transparency, mutual respect, and an unwavering commitment to communication. It is not about possession or control, but about shared growth and genuine care. I am no longer afraid to trust, but I am also not afraid to walk away if that trust is ever violated again. I am free to be me, free to love again, freely, honestly, without the fear of history repeating itself. I am ready for whatever the future holds, knowing I have the strength within me to face anything life throws my way. I have learned that the greatest love story I will ever write is the one I have with myself, and that foundation is now stronger than ever, a testament to my own unwavering spirit and the enduring power of self-love. I am ready for new adventures, new connections, new chapters, knowing that my own happiness is my responsibility and my greatest triumph.